But as we get underway this evening, you can see a lot of clouds east of the Mississippi right now associated with a strengthening storm system that's pushing through the eastern part of the country, causing a variety of weather. And we saw a variety of weather with it in the Carolinas too, and it's not done yet. We'll take a quick look at the weather radar as well, showing you that we have a second wave of rain coming through western North Carolina as of early evening, so we will see one more round of wet weather coming through most of the Carolinas tonight. And still the first batch is generating some thunderstorms and some locally gusty ones over the Outer Bank. We already have seen one tornado warning issued out there. Wouldn't surprise me if we saw another one or two for tonight because conditions are favorable. So stay on your toes here in eastern North Carolina for some possible severe weather. As we saw elsewhere around the Carolinas, it was cold enough for some ice as expected. The storm behaved pretty much the way we thought it would. Were some pockets where some ice was more substantial, like, for example, in Saluda, North Carolina. There was enough ice to bring down a couple of trees and cause some power outages in that area. But most of the serious icy conditions and slippery travel and tree and power line problems were over northwestern North Carolina, where it was colder for a more prolonged period of time. But anyway, it's warmed up above freezing everywhere now, so no concern for ice tonight. However, moisture wrapping around this storm with colder air pushing in will result in some northwest flow snow kicking off through Wednesday night along the North Carolina mountains. Farther west across the country, are mostly clear over the nation's midsection. There's some cloudiness, but nothing substantial. A lot of this is actually snow cover that you see on satellite across the nation's midsection. Another storm y'all can see is pushing into the west coast now. We'll be dealing with that this weekend. So let's move along and see where things stand. There's your current weather map. High pressures over the nation midsection where it's quiet. As of early afternoon when this map was drawn, the storm had not quite consolidated at this point. There were still three separate areas of low pressure. They are starting to consolidate over the Outer Banks as one storm, and that will be heading up the coast and causing some more ice and snow up north as well. Pennsylvania is currently covered by snow as of early in the afternoon. In some places, you're going to see 18 to 24 inches up here. So we have travel plans to the northeast through Wednesday night and Thursday. Be prepared for some pretty significant delays. Now, on to the forecast here, and this is the current time on the upper air chart. Broad trough over the eastern part of the country in the jet stream. This little disturbance here is the main upper support for our storm that's moving through. That will be pulling away from us through Wednesday night and Thursday, and resulting in the weather starting to quiet down some, although another trough coming in from the west, a couple little shortwave features we call them, one down here over the Mississippi River, lower Mississippi Valley, another up in the Midwest will be heading our way through Wednesday night and Thursday. As a result, we just see some northwest flow snow up in the mountains, but it does stay unsettled in the mountains till Thursday and cold with this upper trough over the area through the rest of the week, as a matter of fact. Now, as this little feature that's over the Midwest kind of zips in and through later Thursday and Thursday night, that can cause some interesting effects. I'll talk about that more in a second. But after that, through the end of the week, we see a quiet spell, transient up a ridge over the eastern part of the country, and we don't really warm up as that pushes through, but we do get quiet for a brief period of time. And over the weekend, this next storm system, by Saturday morning, is pushing into the middle Mississippi Valley. There's another storm system trailing it as well, and the way these two work together will determine how things shake out over the weekend and Monday. Some of the models are a little bit faster than the GFS with this and having it interact more with this lead system here, and if that turns out to be the case, then we could see some more active weather over the weekend. But as the GFS shows, the system does move on through. The first one does by Sunday night, and then the second one moves through Monday and brings some rain to parts of South Carolina, if the GFS is to be believed. Behind that, a spell of quieter and warmer weather with mostly west to east flow at the upper levels across the eastern part of the country. But as we head toward Christmas, another big trough digs in and sends another cold front our way. It looks to be a pretty sharp one. Now, let's look at the surface pattern. Here's your Thursday morning with the storm raging over the northeast, causing snow and high winds up that way. So again, if you have travel plans that way, do be prepared for delays, or maybe just delay your travel on your own if you can, maybe all the way to Friday. I expect that we'll see some northwest snow continuing in the spine of the Appalachians all the way down into North Carolina through the day Thursday, and it may pick up for a time into the evening as those two disturbances push through. As a matter of fact, there may be enough energy here that we see a shower or even a flurry, break containment as we call it, sneak east of the mountains. So that'll be something to watch for, but I don't think impacts will be anything significant east of the mountains. In the mountains, inches of snow will occur in the favored northwest flow locations. It'll be a little windy as well. Now again, quiet spell for Friday into Saturday with high pressure over the area, but we do remain chilly. Sunday we warm up ahead of that approaching cold front. But again, that next front will be moving in on Sunday. The GFS shows very little happening with that front as it moves through on Sunday, but with that second system on Monday, some rain in South Carolina. Other models look a little different. Well, at least the European model does. Again, showing those two features, more one consolidated feature perhaps, and potentially causing a more substantial period of rain on Sunday across the Carolinas. So that's something we'll be watching out for. Now, as I said, early next week looks quiet. High pressure will be in charge of Pacific-type high pressure, so we do see a warm-up during that period. A lot of 60s outside the mountains, most likely, but by the time we get to Christmas Eve, there comes another cold front heading our way, and again, this looks to be a sharp one. This looks to be a pretty cold air mass coming in behind it, perhaps the coldest air we've seen so far this season. So keep that in mind that as we go into Christmas Eve, there's a chance it gets wet and maybe even some snow in the mountains, then windy and colder behind it most likely for Christmas Day with northwest flow snow in the mountains. So that's the early indications of what we have for Christmas Day. Keep that in mind for any travel plans you might have for Christmas.